recording. All right, so everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Out of This World. Hope everybody has had a good first week, had a chance to check out some of the sessions from last week. I hope and trust you're all able to take some of the sessions this week as well. We have another week to go, so there lots more awesome content coming your way. For those of you who have not met before, my name is Andrew Mishalove. I am part of the Boomiverse team. And my areas of focus are the user groups as well as the community. I'm here with Doris. Doris, say hello to everybody. Doris recently joined the Boomiverse team as well, so we're super excited to have her as part of our team. She's been a Boomer for a couple years now. Is that right?
Yeah, like 3.5. I think I beat you out on that one.
You do. You've seen seniority over me. So, but yeah, just wanted to take a second to welcome everybody. Like to think of these events, these user groups, as the interactive piece of what would normally be Boomi World on a regular year. This year being very, very different, obviously, for obvious reasons. But we wanted to still have something that was like a Boomi World, bringing great content to you, talk about the product, talk about the future of Boomi, hear from customers, but also still give you the opportunity to have those peer-to-peer conversations and discussions and get a little bit closer to some of the experts and have a chance to ask questions and introduce yourselves, and really all the great conversations that happen in the hallways and at dinners and at the social functions that happen at Boomi World. So this really replaces that for this year. So again, welcome. We have a lot of content to get through, so I'm going to just speed along here and take care of a couple of housekeeping items before. Again, probably most of you have seen these, but for those of you who have not, I'm going to whip through these very, very quickly. We are recording? Yes, we are. Okay, so number one, the session is being recorded. The purpose of the recording is so those who are not able to attend will still have an opportunity to hear the content that's going to be presented today. This report will be wrapped, this recording will be wrapped into a report that will be made available through the community within the next couple of days. So be on the lookout for that. If you're not super comfortable with the recording, I would say, number one, keep your camera turned off, although we highly discourage that. And number two, if you have questions and you'd rather ask them via the chat, my team will be on the lookout for those. We'll make sure that your questions are addressed. Otherwise, please engage. It's again, this is one of the most important pieces of building community, is just building trust, getting to know your peers, getting to know and understand how they're using the platform that can maybe help you better understand and get more out of the platform yourself. So please engage, ask questions, find a pause in the action. This is a user group. This is not a webinar. This is not a session. This is really designed for you all to get connected to each other and get your questions answered. So please engage. And part of that is turning your cameras on. It's great that we can all, some of us can see each other. Would love to see more people get engaged in that way. Makes us feel a bit more connected. Get to know your peers, like I said. So if you haven't done that already, please take a second to flip your cameras on and just participate in the conversation. Mics are muted by default. You can unmute yourself at any point. Again, just find a pause in the action, but please do silence your mic after so we don't get to hear any background noise. There's going to be 2 polls and a couple of other exercises. We'd like everybody to participate in those. The polls in particular help my team to get feedback from you all so we can continue to improve these events. So please take a second to take those polls when you see them launched. Please join your local user groups. Das, if you don't mind, just popping that link into the chat. There are about 40 plus user groups that we have in the community today. So find the one that's relevant to you, whether it's location-based or industry or your use case or what have you. Find the one that interests you, join the group, and stay connected with your peers that are also in those groups. Last but not least, have some fun. Again, this is the fun portion of Boomi World, or Out of This World, sorry. I like to think of these as the way to kind of connect with your peers. So have some fun. Take the time today to ask the questions that you've been wanting to ask, and let's move on. And let's move on. Okay. So quickly again, so I'm Andrew. And later today, we're going to hear from, so we had intended to do these 2 breakouts, and thank you all for filling out that question on the registration page. We had 2 main topics, and we were planning to break people into these 2 breakouts. We tried it a couple of times and found that the technology available within Zoom was not conducive to a seamless experience. So unfortunately, that we're not going to be able to do that. But the good news is that it was pretty much an even split between Back to Business with Boomi and Boomi Ground Control. So you're all going to have an opportunity to hear from both of these sets of folks. So please, I apologize for that, but I think you're going to hear a lot of fantastic content, and it's going to be very organic conversation. There'll be time for questions, and they are here for you. So please take advantage of that. And then if we have some time at the end, we're going to try to get through it and be done a little bit after 3 o'clock. So please stick around for that and get a chance to hear from everybody. All right, so as I mentioned, there are 3 episodes for Out of This World. We are now into episode 2. Episode 1 was last week. That launched on the 29th of September. That was all about liftoff, kind of just getting your journey started with Boomi. This episode 2 is more designed to help you build your platform through the pillars of pervasive connectivity, data readiness, and user engagement. And then next week is really more about future thinking, a future state of Boomi. Hear about the product vision and capabilities and the features that are going to be rolling out starting the rest of this year into next year. So hope you'll have a chance to sign up for some of those sessions. Das, if you don't mind just popping that link as well into the chat, if you haven't already, looks like you have. So please sign up for any sessions that are remaining this week. I don't know if there are more this week. I think this might be the wrap on this week, but certainly next week there's more opportunity to get engaged.
Yep, on Tuesday there'll be the 3rd set of breakouts and main stage videos.
Awesome. Cool. All right, so let me take a pause here. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to kick off the very first poll. We're now up to 53 attendees, so thank you for those who are just joining us. Polls. Opening poll questions. Okay, perfect. I'm going to launch this now. You should see that popping up on your screen. Everybody see that? Is that a yes? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's up.
See thumbs up, heads nodding. Great. So we'll share these. This is pretty quick. We'll share these questions after. So if you get the chance to take that, please do so. And then we're going to pop into our main events of the day. See how we're doing on the cameras. All right, there's some more folks on. Looking better. Of course, when I scroll to page 2, I don't have anybody on. And page 3. All right. Give that another 15, 20 seconds or so. Anybody have any highlights from the first 2 weeks of Out of This World that they care to share with the group? Could be Boomi team as well. Brian, John, anybody?
Yeah, I've been trying to make some time to catch up on that, and that was going to be my plan to come into this. Unfortunately, as you know, I threw my back out, so that put a wrench in it. My plan was to sit on the couch and recover in that, and I had to fully disconnect in that. But I'm excited to see some of the interviews with, like, I always like oh my gosh, the pink glasses. I forget her name. She's such an entertaining speaker.
Katie Linendahl.
Katie Linendahl. Thank you.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Mindy Diwali, but that's not right. But Katie Linendahl is such a great, entertainer when an MC for all of the previous sessions. So I'm excited to go back there and look at those. Now that I'm back to normal, I'm planning on looking for those next couple of days.
That's the beauty of this,
our very
right?
own John Parker on the call was on a customer panel, I think.
Oh, fantastic. All right, well, I'm looking forward to seeing that too, John.
We got a superstar here.
Right.
So that's the beauty of this, right? This is you can go back and just binge style. Like you're binging on I don't know, Cobra Kai or something like that. It's binge watching. Okay, cool. Let's all right. So I just shared the poll results. So this is not most people's first event. It's good to see that. So good that we have a lot of returning attendees. Thank you for your returning, and thank you for those who are brand new to this. Welcome. mostly customers. It's good to see that as well. I'd like to see that number as high as we can get it. So welcome to all of our customers and of course our partners and team members. I see a few team members on this call as well. Let's see, mostly from the Midwest. Look at that. A couple of folks from EMEA, thank you for joining. We realize it's getting on to maybe past dinner time for you all, so thank you for joining. And then most people are familiar with the communities. It's good to see that as well. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you again for that. Appreciate your participation. I'm going to stop sharing this and let's get into the main event since we are on a schedule here. So for this exercise, please pull up a browser. Go to menti.com, M-E-N-T-I, and I'm still sharing, right? Okay. Out of this world, I'm going to present. Let me get back up. I don't want to spill the beans here. All right, so I'm going to share this. You all can see this, right? So go to menti.com and then punch in that code right there, 725188 and 6. And this is going to lead into our conversation with John Parker and Amit and Brittny and folks around back to business with Boomi.
I've also put the code in the chat if anyone wants to copy and paste.
Awesome. Cool. So again, this is meant to be a very dynamic conversation. There's no slides. This is going to be very organic, and hopefully you all are able to participate and help to drive some of the conversation. That's the intent. Panic. Yep. Decreased travel. Yeah, I think we can all relate to that one.
Yeah, really.
Work from home, that's obviously a big one. Zoom or Zoom out. Do people, does anybody have any comments on Zoom? Are you guys all ready for in-person meetings? I think we all really thought that Zoom was going to be the answer to our prayer. It's going to save us big bucks. We don't have to travel anymore. But I think we're all learning that the in-person relationship building is much more powerful, at least from my perspective.
And that Zoom fatigue is a real thing.
Yes.
Yeah, about to mention the Zoom burnout is like super real.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and after a while you kind of, I wouldn't say lose interest, but it's easy to get distracted the more you do it.
That's right. Yep.
So
yeah, you can't have the closed laptop sessions that you used to be able to have.
I know. I find it's interesting, right? You thought this was great. Everybody can get connected. I think on one hand, it is great because you get a chance to connect with people that wouldn't normally be able to attend an event because they're just in a remote area of the country and we just don't have enough customer base to have an event there. So this gives them an opportunity to connect. So that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's people can multitask, have their laptops up, not be fully immersed in the conversation, and we find that fewer people do participate. You may get top 3 or 4% that are very vocal and active on these sessions, but then you get most of the folks that are just tuned in and listening and not participating as much. So cool. I'm gonna switch here. This is great stuff. Thank you all for your sharing of this. I'm going to switch to the next slide. We will post these, by the way, to the wrap-up article. So for those of you who just joined the recording, the wrap-up information, the PowerPoint slide that I have. We don't have any slides from the other folks that are going to be leading their sessions, but I will at least post my slide. We'll also have the transcription and any questions that get posted through the chat, along with these screenshots. So you'll have a chance to check those out. All right, so question 2, and then this is the last question that we're going to ask, and then John and Brittny and Amit, you're all free to dive in and take charge. And you did say you have no slides to share, is that right?
I didn't prepare any, but I think Milay had some.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have slides. I'm just going to speak from my heart.
Perfect.
Those are the best sessions.
Yeah.
Speak from the heart. Okay, so let me pass the 1 second participants. And
Swimmingly. That's positive. I like that word.
Just keep
swimmingly.
swimming. Just keep swimming.
Yes, that's right. Where are you? I don't see you. Here you are. Co-host.
Control freaks freaking.
Yeah. So you should be. I'm going to say Milay, just because I know you told me your other pronunciation, but you should be able to share now. You have hosting capabilities.
Okay.
Or co-hosting capabilities. So
Like
John
the gaining weight one.
and John and team, I can lots of ice cream and a lot more alcohol.
And a lot less
Right.
moving.
Yes, and a lot less moving. That's right.
I think that's why I hurt my back.
I have much less work-life balance. I
Yes.
see somebody put work-life. I don't know if they meant more or less work-life balance, but
Yeah, it's hard to maintain that balance when it's just so easy to like keep working or just pick it back up because you're like, what else am I gonna do? Or
yep.
Or just losing track of the hours. You know.
So for me, nothing.
It's more work.
I've been remote on and off for 20 years, so it didn't really change me. But having my kids at home at the same time.
Yeah. Have you
That's
noticed that the respect for web calls has been decreasing? Oh, you're on a call? Let me keep having a conversation with you anyways.
I know.
Very funny.
Yeah, different work hazards too. Like pets
Yeah.
running across keyboards and weird stuff like that. Just like
Yeah.
keep the throat shut.
I think because it happens to everybody now, everyone's like, okay, cool. Before, I worked from home and I was on calls all the time and the baby would cry and somebody would be like, get the baby. What is that?
I know.
And now it's
That's
like,
right.
oh, the baby's crying. No problem.
Oh, what a cute baby.
I
Right?
think
Yeah,
that
exactly.
also- I do believe that there is much more empathy and understanding.
Totally.
And, I will own up to that more work-life balance comment because it is, I feel like, at least at Boomi and the culture that we have here, we've been empowered to do that. It is within our culture. Yes, it is up to us to own that. But at the end of the day, there's much more empathy and understanding and flexibility when you do need that balance.
Yep, I put it too. And it definitely, again, having the experience of working from home, it's much easier to walk away. But the fact that I'm at home every day and I can take off and pick up my kids from school and it's not a thing. It's because thankfully they are in school. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, okay, no problem. Let me know when you're back.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's more empathy around that sort of behavior. I mean, I've worked from home for the last 15, 20 years as well, and it's easy to take my breaks that I need to take during the day and go run a quick errand or whatever, what have you. But it was always like you feel like you're snooping around a little bit. But now it's expected. People have other things happening throughout the day, and the most important thing is that you're serving your customers and getting your work done and not letting your team down. But we're able to get a little bit more sympathy from our colleagues when things pop up. So cool. So I'm going to leave this up, John and team. I'm going to let you take it from here. Do you want me to leave these up for now? I know that we have some slides to share. Milay's going to share some slides. So you tell me when you want me to stop sharing, but I'm going to let you all take the conversation from here. We want to obviously transition this from how it's affecting us personally, and we certainly want to continue to have that dialogue, but I think as well as how it's affecting us in our business life and how our businesses are responding to the situation and how Boomi is helping us to, move to the new norm in that case.
So Milay, what have you got for us?
Oh, well, am I going to start? Because
I can share again. I can stop sharing and then let you jump in. And
okay, because Brittny, we're going to start with some integrations and then
yeah, I figured I
who's
would.
going to focus on integrations? Yes.
Yeah,
talk about flow.
the flow stuff.
So if you guys want to just give a 10, 15 second intro before you jump in, I think that would be helpful for everybody on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Brittny from the University of Miami. I am a Boomi developer, and this is my colleague Milay.
Hi, how are you guys? Yeah.
I'm John Parker from Cornell University. We are coming up on 7 years with Boomi, and I'm an integration architect and developer myself. So, now, which products are you guys using in Miami? We have an integration, of course, API management and master data hub. We do not have Flow.
So we've been making eyes at the API management because it looks very like a shiny new toy for me, but it's gonna have to wait because we don't actively need it. But at the University of Miami, we've been using the integration piece and the flow piece and just kind of linking it together. So like an example would be, and we'll go more in depth later, but we've been using flows more as like a web page for students to fill requests in, and integrations would like pull data and kind of unify from different databases and other systems so the students could see their information all in one window.
I did see a couple of quick snippets of Beth's session where she talked about, you know, what you guys did in response and how you're using Flow. So if you haven't had a chance to check out that session, would definitely encourage folks to jump in there and search for that one. Das, I don't know if we have a link to that perhaps, but that might be helpful. But anyway, I'll let you guys go. I'll stop.
Yeah, Beth mentioned a bunch of cool stuff that we've been doing. Despite the pressure that COVID has put on all of us, we needed to like keep moving forward. And the way to do that was to try to get as close to normal as we can safely get. And that has to start with the students. Like, how are they feeling? How are they, like, are they thinking of class at all? And like the way to make them feel safer is to put systems in place. So we use like integrations, for example. We mainly use integrations to pull data from Salesforce and insert data to Salesforce and pull data from LabCorp, which was our COVID testing system that we used. And we would put in place, like contact tracing. We would make sure that if someone was infected in a dorm, everyone in that dorm knew, without, of course, revealing sensitive HIPAA information. But like everyone in that dorm would know, so they can take the proper steps to avoid infecting others and keep themselves safe.
As well as faculty, right? As well as the faculty.
As well as faculty, which brings me to something that we called an exclusion list. If for a student to be allowed on campus at all, they have to fill out a questionnaire that's basically saying, hey, are you feeling okay? Do you have COVID symptoms? If you do, please stay off campus. And we would get a QR code that would allow us on campus. And if someone became infected, our integrations would send notifications out so the faculty would know that someone, in vague terms, is infected in one of their classes to please use precaution and take the proper measures. So we were connecting to Salesforce, we were connecting to LabCorp, we were connecting to several databases. We were syncing up everyone in regards to contact tracing, all in like 3 days. We had 3 days to do everything. And we did, it feels like 20 integrations just to make sure everything was in place, including the integrations to Flow, to make sure, are the students looking at the right information? How do we do seed assignments? So the student would know where to sit with the proper spacing, because we needed to maintain spacing in the classroom. And Milay could speak in pass it on to her. Basically, the integrations would pass data to Flow for the information display and then transferring back, and there's a document repository in the background. So we have basically receipts of all remote learning requests, all seat assignment requests, and stuff of that nature. And Milay, if you would like to pass it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it was being like key for us as being how we can integrate and we can connect from Flow to the atmosphere, right? And we can connect all these systems that we have, and we can just give a student or the faculty just one page with all the data, right? So one of the first challenges we had at the beginning when all the students were sent home, right, due to COVID, was to allow them to choose, right? We wanted them to choose from opt for a credit, non-credit, or to have a grade, right, for the current semester for those classes that they were taking, since they had many challenges, right? So we had to build, let me share the screen. We had to build, flows in like real time. We had many challenges and we had less than a week to build these flows. Let me share. I don't have many things to share. I just wanted to share some of the screenshots. Hold on. Let me see. Are you guys seeing the?
We see the outlook.
See your
the
email.
PowerPoint?
We see the email, Milay.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay. Hold on.
I've done that so many times. I'm sure way too many people have seen my messy inbox.
By the way, while she's pulling it up, Brian did post the link to Beth's session into the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, check
Do
that
you
out.
see the? Okay.
Thanks for doing that, Brian.
So you see now the PowerPoint, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. So this is just a screenshot of the concept behind it. So we had to integrate, right, with our student management system to allow the students to enter the classes that they were taking and choose from credit only to a grade. And for that is spring 2020, which is basically like it was April. We send the students back home at the end of March, mid-March, and then in April we have to come up with these solutions to allow them to opt for a credit or a grade, for the class that they were taking. We also had to design a flow for the students to be able to sign their CAN cards, or their ID cards and their reimbursement checks as well, because we didn't want them to touch the devices. So we basically integrated with Twilio from Flow, send them text messages with the links for them to click on that link and being able to sign their that they were picking up their ID cards, or they were picking up their checks. We also were at the beginning of the fall, we were having the students back to campus, right? So they were basically the ones that opted to go back to campus. We had hybrid classes, right? So if the classes were Mondays and Wednesday, half the class would go to campus on Monday and the other half would go to Wednesday. So this was a challenge, because we had to not only assign seats to the students, but also we had to come up with a schedule. Okay, who is gonna go on Monday? Who's gonna go on Wednesday? So we had to design a flow to give the students their schedule, and also the faculty their class list. So this is for instance how the class list will look for the faculty. They were able to download this class list as an Excel file. For instance, they will just log in. This was student. This is, for instance, the faculty. Let's say in this case it's George. He was teaching like multiple classes. They will click on the class that they wanted to download their class list, and they will display the class list. They were able to download the class list. And then for the student, he would tell the student where to show up on campus and at what time and what seat number. So we wanted to make sure that we wouldn't have because it was just one seat for two students, right? One for Monday, one for Wednesday. We didn't want the two students to show up the same day and not have a seat to, seat. And then we also had to develop a flow to allow the students to choose between remote learning on campus. So they had to basically choose if they wanted to take the classes remotely or they wanted to go back in person. So like I said, the key was for us is the ability to basically integrate between all our systems and being able to show the student just one page, our faculties as well. So for them it's seamless, it's a click of the button without knowing what's really going, behind the scene. And it's been flawless so far. I mean, we have been able to develop this in less than a week for most of these flows. Like, it's been, so far it's been an amazing experience. So I don't know, Brittny, if you have something else to comment.
I was going to say, just in the interest of time, I know we had the plans for 2 breakouts, but I want to give John and Amit a chance to talk briefly as well, and then maybe we open it up for questions. I mean, we can do a whole session around each of these or around this topic in general. But just again, just want to give everybody a chance to chat and share.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I think like everybody else, COVID has blotted out the sun, and it certainly did for us. And I think our primary focus originally was in communicating to students and faculty across all the diverse campus. We're a land-grant college. We've got 52 cooperative extension offices, and the communications are different for each. We've got a tech campus in New York, medical school in New York, and Qatar. So we brought Master Data Hub in to tie in all the different sources, PeopleSoft, Workday, etc., to tell Salesforce where people were, so that the communications could be targeted. And then once the semester started, we brought students back on campus. So we had to put in a daily check process, and depending on whether you're a staff, a faculty, or a student, the information about what your status was, whether you're on campus or not, what your testing level is, etc., all had to be coalesced into one spot from all these different systems. And we use Master Data Hub and integration, of course, for that as well. So we haven't done much of anything except COVID since May, as far as Boomi, but we did get Master Data Hub out of it, so we're glad for that anyways.
Well, John, thank you so much as well. Amit, do you want to share a little bit, and then maybe we could open it up for questions at that point?
Sure. Thank you all, and good to see all of you again. I put the comment upside down or panic on the first question, Andrew, and that's where we were back in February or March of this year, where we had to shut down all our restaurants.
Yep.
And there was a little to no guidance from how we are going to reopen our business and serve food, right? All of us are lucky to sit in front of a Zoom call and do whatever we need to do. But I want to give a shout out to begin my conversation to our field leadership and field associates. They have to be in the restaurant, because there is no way we can make food on a Zoom call. So they have gone through a lot in the last 6 months. Their entire world has turned upside down, right from COVID to social unrest. We had several examples where some of our locations were severely damaged due to some events, and then we had to go through that and make sure that our associates are safe, and then they can get back to work. We are dealing with the hurricanes, fires, and all of that. But I'm very glad to tell you guys that as of last couple of weeks, all of PX Changs are open for dine-in. We were doing a lot of takeout and delivery, but within 6 months from shutting down the entire 250 locations from a dine-in perspective, to reopen every location and where we can welcome all our guests if you choose to, and have a good dining experience. So big shout out to the field leadership and field operations. Coming to what we have done with Boomi to help our field operation, we have done few amazing things. I want to probably touch base on couple of projects that we have done so far. First one is a QR code based payment solution. So we have gone with a touchless, contactless payment system. So if you are dining with us, you don't have to give your credit card. You don't have to download an app. You can we'll give you a receipt. You can scan the QR code on your receipt. It will take you to a secure payment site, and then you can make your payment from there. You can split your check with your friends. You can do partial payments, use multiple credit cards. So, but behind all that is Boomi. So we selected a technology, but we still need to make sure that we can still collect the data and make sure that we get paid, right? So behind that, from the solution to the banks, all the data we are moving through Boomi. And I want to say within 6 weeks, from selecting a partner for our cashless or touchless payments to going live with all our 250 locations, it took us 6 weeks. And Boomi played a very significant role in that to make sure that in real time, and I don't know if any one of you have gone to a PF Chang's and dined in and used that touchless option, but in real time, as you pay on your phone, I can get that data into my backend system and consolidate and reconcile that information with the bank. And again, Boomi is behind the scenes. We don't see it, customers don't see Boomi there, but that's the beauty of using Boomi as a tool to integrate multiple systems. So that's just one example. The second example I wanted to quickly touch base on, and it was not by our choice, but the previous vendor where we had our reservation system was going and out of support, end of life. So during this period, we had to finalize and select a brand new reservation system for our dine-in guests. And again, I'm very happy to say that within 3 to 5 weeks, we have not only replaced, but we are live through our website, through our mobile app, as well as people who walk in to make reservations on a new system. And no surprise there, but again, all that reservation data is flowing through Boomi. So behind the scene, again, Boomi is playing a big role in making sure whether you are making a reservation on the PF Chang's website, you are using mobile app, or you're just walking into a restaurant with your friends and family, we are collecting that data and making sure that data is available to field as well as the corporate office through the Boomi platform. So those are the two things that within few weeks we were able to accomplish using Boomi's help. Obviously there were other players in the mix, but again, Boomi played a significant role. The last thing I want to share, and the cool thing that we are doing now, is in the restaurant now, everybody's playing or having multiple hats that they need to wear. So a server or a busser or a dishwasher, they are doing all different roles now. So we are going into a model called tip sharing. So even if you are tipping the bartender or the server, now we are going to pool all the tips that we are collecting, and we are actually going to give them a prepaid debit card, and we load their tip share onto their card at the end of the day. So no more handling cash. Again, we are trying to avoid as much as physical contact or touch within the restaurant. So everybody who is working in the restaurant will get a prepaid card, and at the end of their shift, we will load whatever their tip share is. And again, I'm working with the banks, I'm working with the point of sale systems, using Boomi to make sure that I pay everybody the correct tip amount at the end of their shift. So just wanted to share a couple of examples how our life has changed in the restaurant industry, but we are moving forward. We are adapting to the changes, and Boomi is helping us getting those solutions out there quickly so that we can keep making food and serve our guests.
Awesome.
The only question I've got is, when are you going to do Grubhub to Ithaca?
Sorry, I missed the question. So what was that, John?
When are you going to provide Grubhub or a facility in Ithaca, New York?
John, you're going to have to wait until we come out of COVID and Amit hosts our first post-COVID user group in Phoenix.
Yeah, so you probably have to fly to Phoenix for that. But just from a New York perspective, the exciting news, and I don't know if you have seen this in the articles, but we are opening 3 to-go locations in the New York City. I'm not sure how far Ithaca is from the city.
4 or 5 hours.
But, but we are
Worth
opening
it.
takeout locations. And I'm pretty sure if it is not Grubhub, and John, you and I can talk, but we certainly use Postmate. We have DoorDash, and we have our own delivery service that we can
I'm
use to
just
deliver
envious of
food to your
everybody
house.
else. I'm just envious of everybody else, that's all.
So let's do this. I apologize for not offering these in breakout sessions. I think I hate to cut these discussions short, and I certainly want to give enough time for questions. So why don't we take a pause there on that? That was great stuff, everyone. At least hopefully everyone got a general sense of the overview of how higher ed is being impacted, retail is being impacted, the restaurant industry is being impacted. Let's just take a couple of questions from the audience, and then we're going to flip over to Brian and Jason after that, and they'll take you through their story as well. And then if everyone's okay with this going a little bit over the 3 o'clock Eastern end time, please stick around because they have some great content to share with you all. So who has questions, just feel free to jump right in or post your questions in the chat.
So I'll ask some of the questions. So Amit, did you find that, how did you find that Boomi scaled? I'm assuming you guys had Boomi prior to COVID, and how did you guys find Boomi scaling up to meet your needs, with new systems and things like that, new volumes and.
Yeah, we've been on the Boomi platform for the last couple of years. So again, great question, Brian. From a volume perspective, I'll go back to the touchless payment example that I gave. We are seeing real-time transactions coming through in hundreds, right? Because that system is now available in all the locations. So as you are paying for your check, we are getting data. I won't say it's in thousands, but it's definitely in hundreds real time. During lunch hour or during the dinner time frame, we definitely see a lot of transactions coming through. And so far, I'm not seeing any delay in processing that information through the platform.
Okay. Very good.
The payload is pretty small. It's just your payment information and the dollar and all that. It's not like a huge payload, but not seeing any performance issues so far.
Okay. Did you guys have to scale up any infrastructure to meet these new needs, or did you guys already have enough that's kind of calmed down as it ramped back up to COVID, or ramped back up?
So prior to COVID also, and we have not done this, but we are trying to figure out a way to separate out our batch processing workload on Boomi versus the real-time workload, as because we are moving more and more towards real-time with our use cases. And when we have some kind of a downtime, it impacts more for the real-time, obviously. So we are trying to see if we can separate our molecules for the batch processing that we do and have a separate infrastructure just for the real-time. But that's work in progress right now.
Yeah, that seems to be a common sentiment. Alongside load balancing, those real-time transactions is also a healthy challenge as well. I keep hearing across different types of scenarios, making sure that those batches can run as needed, but also the real-time transactions are distributed across molecules evenly and in a health-conscious fashion, right? So a less busy server picks those transactions up.
Having conversations with Boomi product resources, their expertise to figure out what that architecture will look like for us when we want to separate out the batch versus real-time traffic.
Yeah, we switched to Private Atom Cloud, which is a thread-based model, and we found that the real-time was not impacted at all, and because of the thread-based, the load balancing was extraordinary. So we haven't had any issue with the two competing with each other, batch and real-time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a common sentiment. The only times I've heard from people switching to the Atom Cloud is that spin up time on some real time transactions, right? Some systems don't handle that gracefully to handle, a 15 to 30-second spin up time of that individual thread. When it comes to like payment processing, as an example, they may not want to have that initial wait. They'll hit refresh 3, 4, 5 times, waiting for somebody to hit that. But I'm a big fan of the real time stuff. I think it's
Well, see, in the private cloud model, you can dedicate workers that are never shut down. So the real time there is no spin up.
Yep.
Yeah. As us organization, we just wrote a bunch of, created a CRM product with a bunch of listeners and stuff. And it's been sitting out there working fine. We have our users haven't. It's new, so they're still getting exposed to it and everything, but it doesn't look like we've had any, we have our batch stuff out there and our listeners. We don't use Boomi's API management tool. We use a different one, an Azure one, but everything seems to be fine, work fine, integrate fine. So we'll know more as we get our, more users use our product and stuff, but it was a lot easier to create one listeners in Boomi than it was in Java or something else or whatever and stuff. And once we got a pattern down for a couple of them, the rest of the endpoints are quite easy to do because Boomi, once you got one and got a pattern down, it's easy replicable. You can replicate it quite easily and stuff. So that has been really nice.
That's one of the things I like about API management is that, you just go in there and you tell them, I want a SOAP interface, I want a REST interface, I want a no data interface to the same process, and it just does it for you.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Coming from a background where I wrote a lot of Java stuff, it's there's certain things you have to get used to. There's the Java way and there's the Boomi way, but I think a lot of that, since I did have a lot of Java background, helped me understand how things were done in Boomi because that looks like it's the underlying language in it. So it has a lot of the features and actions and errors and stuff. So that transition was nice. It was quite easy. It's just, you have to change your mindset of how to do it in Boomi a bit, especially if you're used to writing every line of code and every comma and everything like that. All of a sudden, well, boom, I can put this shape in here, make these connections and everything. It's almost, you have to think simpler. In a simple sense, in a more simple sense versus maybe overthinking things. So
when we first started analyzing Boomi, that was the common word. Everything that we said was, wow, this is simple. Is it too simple? And it turned out not to be. So Robert, where are you from?
Keeps you on your toes, John.
I'm at Minnesota State.
Okay.
Yeah, Minnesota State. I think we got Boomi now for a couple of years. The first year is really trying to get you up to speed and learning it. And we got a team here. I think some of my team members are actually online here and stuff. But, what you know now versus what you know then, it's been a learning curve and everything. And, then of course you look at something you did a year and a half ago and you're just like, well, there's a simpler way to do it now, So there has been an adjustment there, but it's been working for what we need and stuff, at least from my perspective and everything. It's been nice, it's been nice. But like I said, whether your background is COBOL or .NET or Java or scripting or something like that, you do have to change the way you think a bit, once you've made that adjustment, the light bulb comes on and everything, and go, oh, wow, I can just grab this shape, or I've got this sub process. I can just plug it in. I can make it generic enough. I can do this or whatever, and it'll work. So that's been really nice.
Say hi to Miles for me, will you?
Yeah, we'll do. I got a meeting with him actually in 2 minutes, so I got to cut out here. So yeah, he's my team leader. So.
We started sharing stuff using process libraries right after Boomi World a year ago. So I'm glad to see you still at it.
And what's your name again?
John Parker.
Don Parker. Okay.
John J-O-H-N.
Okay. I'll tell him hi for you here in about 2 minutes. So I got to drop off here. So.
Awesome. Robert, thank you very much for sharing. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Sorry, you have to drop. So Brian, do we want to switch gears and do our best to kind of get through your stuff and Jason's stuff?
Yeah, sure.
How do you want to do it? I know we're
how much time do we have? Are we always 7 minutes? Okay.
we can keep going, but you know, folks may need to drop it at the hour if you can stay on, great. If you don't, we understand that too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we don't have a ton of people on camera, but you know, sort of if this were a live event, we did the sort of raise of hands. You know, I'm interested. You know, my background is running local atoms and molecules and scaling those out and streamlining those. So, you know, COVID has introduced different challenges to different groups. Shortly before my stint at Qlik, I was on the partner side, so we went through that on the customers that needed to ramp that up quickly and use the cloud. By a virtual show of hands, I'm curious to see how many out there are using Boomi in a private instance, whether it's physical on their infrastructure or if they're using private clouds or strictly cloud molecules.
So I can pull up the Mentimeter and we can
get
the answers. So if hopefully you're still on the Mentimeter, that's actually a question that we have out there. So if you're still in there, let's get you to fill that information in. Everybody can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think we'll keep this going. Brian, I just popped you a question in there. Do we want to try and use this, or is it too much? But looks like this is working nicely.
Brian, let me just throw in there that we're doing private, but we're hosting in Amazon. So
yeah, that was exactly what you know, kind of. I'm trying to get connected to Mentimeter. It's not asking me for the ID anymore. It's wanting me to buy.
Go to menti.com. MENTI.
Oh, menti.com. That's what it is.
Yeah, go to menti.com.
7251886.
So we're getting most people saying yes. I know you have a few other questions you had teed up, so you tell me if you want me to switch or.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can go ahead and segue into the next questions. I don't know if it's the same order that we had there before. So segueing that, I mean, do you guys have dedicated Boomi admins? Are you guys running, just a native instance? I'm finding quite a diverse range out there. And are those, it's kind of like sort of a two-part question, but are those admins, are these developer admins, or are these operational admins? So one of the the diversity I've seen across the Boomi platform is I've had a wide range of operational resources that can learn how to manage a Boomi infrastructure without really knowing Boomi. They can have their own administrative access inside the tool. And so interesting, we had jumped a little ahead there, but
I think I switched. I'm sorry. I thought that was your next question. Yeah. I'll stop. You tell me when to go.
No. So it's interesting to see how many people out there are also running from, have local developers that are playing the role of admins. I've seen it in the Windows, and everybody seems to be switching over to the AWS or hosted instances, and their private clouds, private virtual clouds. So I'm seeing more and more developers playing that role. But what's interesting is Boomi tends to kind of blow itself up in its popularity in an organization, starting off as a simple integration tool. And the next thing you know, security and the CIOs start realizing how vital this is. And then it comes along the lines of saying, who's making sure that this is running? Who's making sure that, we're being proactive on that? So segueing into my next question, DevOps. So for those of you that follow the user group or the release notes monthly, you've noticed they've been a huge roadmap ever since Boomi World last year. More and more opportunity to build out DevOps in Boomi, and DevOps from a perspective of automated deployments, code analysis, package deployments. By show of hands, how many people out there are just now using the package deployment now that it's been forced upon them? All right, how do you like it? Is anybody despising it, or are they getting used to it now?
I like it.
Yeah. I see Jason with a little, he's kind of like a little happy smile, but kind of reserved as well. Yeah, so it took me a while to get used to the, that we were on some of the private betas prior to this going tech preview. So it's taken a little while to get used to, but I do like it. I think it's a great strategy for any of those that are using Agile. It's a great way to virtually shelve your your code bases if you've got a long-running release that is having multiple sprints. So interesting cycle. So from a DevOps perspective, it's nice. So we do see some people out there. Looks like about 50% are actually, having it on their roadmap or so. I'm sorry, I read that yellow line wrong. So about 45%, 50% are out there. So for those of you that don't know, there is a user group dedicated for DevOps. It's not very active yet, so this is a good opportunity to come in there, ask your questions, and everybody can help contribute, and we can all kind of learn this journey together as Boomi goes through. There's some really good process library examples out there as well, so take advantage of that. And there's a few articles out there for using automated deployments with some examples using Jenkins as well. So I encourage everyone to check that out.
That's all on the community, right?
It is on the community, correct.
Cool, nice.
What else do we have? You want to go to the next slide? Next mentee. Security. Oh, this is a good one. All right. So as I mentioned, Boomi kind of tends to come into the organization, and as it grows, security tends to come along as an afterthought. So this is a critical gap I saw on the partner spectrum, where everybody has access, and people either they want to be really involved in the security around Boomi, and a lot of people say, I don't want to touch it. This is an application. We don't have any association with that. So does anybody have any compliance related regulatory that they have their Boomi falls under? I would imagine that Amit has to talk about some of the PCI compliance with that. We've got GDPR and PII data running through this. I'm sure any public companies out there have SOCs that might be getting that data pulled in. Anybody having to deal with those?
Yeah, we are definitely, Boomi is part of the security compliance scope because we are doing a lot of payment processing, but also with our wonderful friends in California, now we are doing a lot of CCPA work.
Absolutely.
So the CCPA work, all the data, customer data that we have with our partners, we are using Boomi to exchange that information. So if you submit a request to delete your information in California, we do that. And there is a tight deadline to make sure that you are satisfied that customer request, right? So yeah, security is definitely is part of our Boomi world.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the challenges and interesting conversations I've had with auditors has been whether Boomi is a platform of data, is a repository of data, or whether it's a platform as a conduit, right? So data that is considered in flight, meaning documents that are stored on the local execution runtime, whether that's technically in scope for a lot of these things. So some interesting challenges out there. We can, I know we're short on time, so we can either open up for some more challenges, but it seems to be that everybody has a critical part. Do you guys have active audits with your organizations that Boomi involves in, or are you guys just trying to follow the general security standards that you have at your organization?
We do have quarterly audits, and our security or legal guideline is it doesn't matter whether it's in flight or you're storing it or not. If you have access to that information, then it's in scope.
Okay.
We take customer data very seriously.
Absolutely, as you should.
Those are very fun conversations every quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Apologize. And so, it's interesting going back to the process library. For those of you that do need to provide any of those audits of from that security role, quick show of hands. It's not on our questions on the slide here, but is anybody using the Adams for API to pull any of that data? I see John's there, Brittny.
It's so useful. It's so good.
I swear, I will sing the praises of the Adams for API so much. If you're not using the Adams for API, use it. It is a great tool. It does not factor to your licenses. The only license you need to pay for is whatever you're going to store that information on. So you get Adams for API calls as many as you want. I think it's up to 100,000 a day. and you can pull all of the your entire audit log, which covers security logins, deletions, changes to the accounts, all those little auditable things. And for those of you that are monitoring the release notes, you'll see that that's continually, the amount of events that they're picking up in that audit log keeps growing. So it is a great little resource, especially if you have that. We recently got more and more engaged with our security team, and they had more advanced questions, and we were able to quickly store that, because we pull that data and we store it long term. So we've had the last 6-7 years of audit logs quickly at our fingertips, and get them exactly what they want to know. Who's logged in, who has done something with a delete functionality, who has specific roles. We can pull all that data. Some fun stuff. So I highly recommend anyone who's not using it out there. What else do we have on the Mentimeter? You want to go to the next one? Performance.
And as I mentioned, all of this will be available on the community. So if you feel like you may have missed something, you'll have a chance to go back there and check it all out, and have a chance to connect with Brian and with John and Jason and Amit and Brittny and everybody to continue to ramp up on your Boomi knowledge, get your certifications.
Yes, I've been really happy with the Boomiverse, all the new certifications and the new training, formats that they have out there. It's really nice. I like that
gamification.
a lot.
Yep. How many certs you have? You have what, 7 now? 8? 7.
8, yeah, something like that. So I come from an integration background. For those of you who don't know, I come from the integration background. I went to the partner spectrum for a year. And while doing that, I got my experience in Flow. I've been doing administration for quite a long time. Run the Boomi admin, so I have that. Got my experience with the Linux and the Windows admin certifications, and API management. As that came out, we were part of the beta program, and I've seen that evolve. And I don't remember who it was. I think you actually dropped off. Those augmenting it with the Azure seems to be an interesting dialogue going back and forth with some of those, where people are leveraging third-party tools as their API management solution on top of Boomi. John Parker mentioned about API management, how quickly you can surface your integrations. And then when you want to take it to the next level, they have the API management actual platform. So it runs as a standalone atom, and that handles all as a gateway, that's what they call it. But taking those advanced developer resources and portals and fun stuff like that. So interesting about performance. So our just again, virtual show of hands. Are we doing a lot of real-time transactions or batch, or are people doing a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Mostly batch on my side.
Okay. I find that Boomi seems to take a good amount of time for the batch processes. Not necessarily in a bad way. People seem to be less performance oriented on that. But as people do more and more real-time transactions, especially getting more to like event-driven architectures, that seems to be more and more of an interesting perspective. And that's why I brought up that mention earlier, John, about the private Atom clouds and the workers. And you brought up a very good point about leaving those Atom workers running, the setting the idle timeout on those. Very important. And Jason and Jesse, I don't mean to cut any of your time off, but feel free to jump in anytime. Andrew's just running through some of the questions that I had sent off. But feel free to jump in and cover anything.
No, you guys are the smart people. We're just the guys in the transportation, man. We're just still trying to figure things out. So no, this is good stuff.
Okay.
Really good stuff.
All right. How many more we got, Andrew?
Let's see. I think we have a couple more.
Okay.
If you want me to breeze past any of these and try to pull it and open up for questions, if everyone okay with going, I know we're a bit over time already. If everyone's okay with continuing, we can continue. If we can try to pull it home, we can do that. We can open up for questions. Up to you all. I should have a slide on that one.
I'll have to go before too much longer, Andrew. I got something I'm gonna have to get to, but
okay, sounds good.
Jesse's the smart one of us to here. I think it's interesting. I made some notes as everybody was going through things is, we are in the transportation space is what we do. And really interesting with Amit talking about PF Chang's, to give you a quick overview of what we saw really fast was, Amit, your restaurants, even though they were, curbside pickup or delivery, you probably didn't have that much packaging for all that was all of a sudden hit. And not only that, your packaging supplier that it came from wasn't prepared to make new packaging to the rate that you needed it. And we saw that a lot, and where we fall in, the transportation industry is so archaic. Systems that are in place are so far behind. So where we saw a pretty big advantage with a lot of our customers was trying to leverage our own Boomi experience to kind of let them piggyback on us, to be able to provide them data with what was going on in their supply chain, to try to, force them, say, look, it's the pandemic now and COVID, but what is it tomorrow if you don't get this stuff updated,
That's right.
So that was pretty, it just, the domino effect that it had, auto manufacturing shut down. So all that trucking capacity for all those auto manufacturers just stopped. But yet we have packaging suppliers that need that capacity to be able to supply everything. So, but it doesn't communicate well together. So that's kind of where we fit in was being able to leverage. We've been with Boomi now 3 years. Jesse's done a great job of knowing the ins and outs. I'm kind of the guy with the bucket of crap who throws it against the wall, and I throw it at him and he's like, we could probably make this work. And so we talked through, if you can make that work, here's what we're going to need step 2, 3, and 4, because I've got to go get this guy willing to send me his information for us to be able to make this piece work. So that's just kind of a nutshell of what we've done from the transportation space.
That's great. You bring up a good point. The questions that Andrew was asking earlier about, how it's impacted. It's industries that you don't think of. I've a few different industries or a few different restaurant chains that have just been bombarded. They didn't skip a beat in their actual sales during COVID because it just shifted to takeout, and people found that was their
hand sanitizer. How many distilleries and everything? We work with one of the Ecolab, one of the largest hand sanitizers in the world, and their supply chain just collapsed. It wasn't really their fault. It's just their suppliers, now they needed these containers and all this stuff. And, the plastic pellets to make them container, the domino effect was tremendous that most people don't initially think about, right? Like, well, isn't it a great thing to have more business? It is, but when you're not planning for it, it's not as easy as turning on a water spigot. So it's difficult.
Yeah, I find it interesting on some of the projects that in my previous experience, we were working with a major sanitizer manufacturer, the largest one as well. And they had a big initiative to bring on and do a ton of integrations and a ton of streamlining their business processes, and everything had to stop so that they can go back to that archaic way of just getting the orders out the door, because you'll make so much more money getting it out the door, but they kind of put everything on hold. So it's stop. When you catch a breather, come back in full force and use Boomi to build out your process as fast as you can, and then kind of circle back to to streamline it afterwards.
Yeah.
There's no more mad rush for the toilet paper.
Right.
And that supply chain is working fine now. So people
let's
are
hope
not crazy with the toilet paper anymore.
Well, let's hope that this is a once in a lifetime situation, right? We learned some valuable lessons from this, and we can choose this once in a lifetime, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So from a monitoring perspective, this is an interesting diversity, right? Boomi has some great monitoring tools, and it works fantastic for some of the alerting and notifications. But it does obviously have its limitations. Boomi will openly admit that they're not a monitoring and reporting tool, but they give you the capabilities to do that. So those of you that aren't augmenting it with third-party tools, I highly recommend, again, using the Atomsphere API, connecting with some of if you're running a local Atom, pulling the local logs and using some of those tools to surface some of those insights into your platform. That truly gives you an idea of your overall health. One of the things that's challenging is to see how you're actually doing collectively, because the platform just runs. It's so streamlined and efficient that until something breaks, it just seems to continue to go, and things may slow down but they'll still run, which is fantastic. I loved about Boomi. So can we go to the next one, Andrew?
Why don't we get one more in, then we can maybe open it up at that point. Do you have one you want to choose out of the remaining? I think we don't have that many left, I don't think, right?
Dealer's choice. That's good with me.
You tell me.
I
Got the list.
Here. Yeah, 1 second. Get my email open. Do you have? And how about number 8? Do you have the mature developer?
There we go. I think it's the last one anyway, right?
Yes.
All right, good. Again, I really appreciate everyone's being patient with us, and we will try and figure out a better solution next time for the breakouts.
I think this has worked fine. I'm sorry that Brian got shorted, but I think it worked fine.
Okay. I'm long-winded anyways, so I don't mind being shorted. John, every time you have that background, there's a homebrewing book, and actually I don't know if I have it here. I homebrew, and there's a homebrew book that has almost an identical background to that, and I've always wondered if maybe that is the same picture. Every time I see you, all I see is the picture.
Ithaca Brewery is right down the road, so a lot of micro breweries up here.
I may be in luck. Nope, that's not the one. No.
One thing I just wanted to something that occurred to me that was interesting in our COVID is that we have the vet school here at Cornell, and it has a lot of lab and diagnostic space. They took about 80% of the diagnostic space and converted it to COVID testing.
Oh, wow.
So we do it for the local hospital, local county health, and for Cornell. So it was a redirection of one of the big units on campus. So
I will say I've been extremely impressed at the adaptability of the human race amongst all this stuff. I mean, we have all pivoted in ways that I don't think any of us planned on pivoting. And so kudos to us getting through those, good and bad, right? So, okay. So having the mature development in practice, this kind of goes back to some of the regulatory and the security and monitoring. A lot of organizations have developers that are senior developers. They know what's going on. They've gone through the Boomi, certification process, and they can get things done. But these are changing, and as things go through, developers shouldn't have access to production environments, and they shouldn't be handling those. Those that develop the code should not be deploying the code. They should be helping, particularly helping in that DevOps deployments. So it's interesting to see that there's enough to be dangerous. That's a common sentiment, but I'm glad to see that it's a minority. For those of you that don't have that Boomi maturity level there, are you guys? Is that something you guys is a priority in your near-term future? Or are you guys kind of leveraging the sweet spot that Boomi falls into and having self-sustainability for the most part?
We are a very small shop, so I do a lot of that work, and I've got a degree in marketing.
So you're what they used to call the citizen integrator. So
yes, so there we go. That's a good title.
Yeah, that's awesome. And actually, those are some of the best. And all the people that I've helped through the years, I've been doing Boomi for about 7 years now, almost 7 years now. Those analysts and those non-techies that come into Boomi have thrived with such a great tool, and being able to understand the simplicity of shapes, right? It does, if you can understand, I need to drop a connector. Oh, what kind of connector do you want? Oh, let me just ask you these basic questions, especially with the new suggested connector operations. I don't know if you guys are using that or not, but dropping in a shape, say, oh, you're going to pull data from Salesforce. Oh, did you want to filter on a last name? Oh, fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. They're not having to drive that. I've seen them thrive and just, really take off on this platform.
And there's another example of Private Atom Cloud is great because I can give the Lab of Ornithology their own space and they can screw it up as bad as they want to, and it doesn't break anybody else. So
that is the future, containers, right? however they may be, right?
Well, so let's do this now. I know we're about, pretty much over time, obviously. Two things. I'm going to open the floor up for questions. Anybody has any questions, just to kind of close it out. I'm also going to launch the closing poll now. Let me do that. So we're going to let that run for the duration. Great time to ask questions. So if anybody has anything they want to share with the group, anybody has any questions for our session leaders, for Brian or for John or Jason, or Brittny, anybody. So we'll for Amit, we'll leave it there and just open up the dialogue. And appreciate everyone, again, being patient with the Zoom tech not doing what we hoped, but hopefully this was a valuable session for you nonetheless. Would have been perfect. Would have been perfect. Dallas and I were just chatting on the sides and how amazing it would have been to have the breakouts, but we'll figure something out for next time.
Adapting with COVID, right?
Yes.
Getting back to business.
Well, we'll do it in person. That'd be even better.
Absolutely. Hopefully things will calm down before the year. We can have another Miami one, right? That'd be fun.
Yes, that
See
would
if
be
it
nice.
can come warm up.
That would be nice. Miss those days.
Right.
We'll have to continue that creative nature. We had the one on the train and had the one at the coffee shop. That was fun.
Yeah, the coffee shop was nice.
That was awesome.
Well, the brewery one in Boston was pretty good too.
That was fun.
That's right up my alley. I've got
Nice.
Andrew. I need to know when those are happening. Let me know. My wife's been begging me to go to Boston anyway, so let's go. What brewery did you guys go to?
Actually, I've got the glass here. Someplace. I'll have to hang on. I'll be right back.
This has been a good session. I mean,
yeah, the Miami one was a lot of fun for sure. But we're looking forward to getting back to.
Has anybody seen the videos to get jealous of the Miami user groups? Some pretty fun ones out there. They had the trains, where they jumped around the trains. We zipped up and down the east coast of Florida, and then the last one was at a motorcycle themed coffee shop, which was really cool.
Motorcycle tattoo themed coffee shop. We had tequila, food trucks, and exotic cars.
Yep.
And a lot of great knowledge to share. A lot of great content. That's
a good session.
But great content and have a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have the actual. I guess that's not going to work. It was a city brew tours.
Okay, cool.
They took us all around to 3 or 4 different breweries. I'm more of a hard cider drinker myself, so.
I love hard cider.
Me too.
A little fireball in it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
So there used to be a British pub near my house that had the original Strongbow, and before they changed to the American recipe, and I still to this day crave that classic English dry cider that's very hard to find.
Yeah, New York State actually added hard cideries to their tax-free.
Oh, nice. That's the way to do it. Save on your tax. You can actually afford to be in the city.
Well, we're like Andrew said, we're 4 hours from New York City. Okay. So up near Rochester, Great Finger Lakes. That's actually Qlik Lake in the background of this picture. So
closer to cool. Syracuse and Rochester and Buffalo and that area.
Yeah, Corning.
That's right. Yeah, Corning.
Brian, where are you located?
Just south of Andrew. So I'm halfway between Brittny and Andrew. I'm in Boca Raton, which is north of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. All right.
Southeast.
Is anybody here from Tampa?
It's about 4 hours diagonal. So I'm about 45 minutes, an hour north of Miami.
I'm anybody on the meeting.
Be in Tampa in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, Tampa's about ready to knock Yankees out tonight, I'm afraid. So.
Is that right?
That's annoying, but
Is it, how is the so the Rays looking like a favorite to win?
Los Angeles is looking like the favorite, but the Rays will probably win the American League.
They got to bring
two championships for Tampa.
Right? Bring it home.
Imagine the 2 championships for Tampa and then 1 for Miami, but it's an NBA Major League Baseball.
Do it for Kobe.
Well, Miami baseball team is pretty hot this year, so they may actually be the sleeper.
They're in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Marlins. Yeah.
Right.
Got to get some fans. The stadium is empty.
You know what? I am convinced. I'm convinced that Miami doesn't want good sports teams. They want just good enough sports teams, because then they can supplement the stadiums with the taxpayers for the local teams, and then we can have all the nice concerts. We can have all the different events. You look at the Hard Rock. They've got all these nice international events. People come from all over the world to come and play soccer there, and all these great sessions. But they couldn't do it if it was just privately funded. I don't think.
Right. Yep.
But now we got Tua, so look out this year. Next year, I mean.
Isn't Jeter one of the part owners of Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah.
Tampa team.
Miami.
Yeah, the Marlins.
Miami.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, he was the Marlins. Okay.
Miami, the Marlins. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the president, right, of the Marlins.
Yeah.
I think so.
I heard he was kicking Tom Brady out of his house.
Could be, but he hired Don Mattingly, or kept Don Mattingly on as the manager of the Marlins, so they both are Yankee exes.
Yeah. Of course, now we're chatting about other stuff. Anybody have any last questions about Boomi stuff? Any comments they want to offer? Nope. Okay. Well, everyone, it's a pleasure. Really appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you to all of our panelists or speakers. You all were great. I'm just feeling that we could have had 2 separate sessions around all these, and maybe we'll consider that for next time, or look for a better option to Zoom to have the breakouts, or we'll do it in person, even better.
Why not both?
Why not both? That's right. So I want to wish everyone well. I want to thank you again for joining us. We look forward to you continuing to get engaged, and look forward to you joining us in week 3 for Out of This World, for episode 3, starting next Tuesday. Of course, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to reach out at any time. Hope to see you on the Boomiverse community. If you're not already involved in part of that, would certainly encourage you to connect with us there. Reach out. You can find any of our speakers, our presenters on the community. I will be, as I mentioned, I will be putting the wrap-up report together. Probably should be online by, I'd say, Monday or Tuesday at the latest. You'll be able to find the links to all of the profiles of our speakers today in that article. So feel free to connect with them there. And you should get an email with a link to the wrap-up as well from our demand gen team. I believe that's how it's going out. Not sure when that'll go out, but you'll have a link to the content from Out of This World. So thank you again, everyone. Be well, be safe, stay happy, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, Brittny, Ryan, and Colleen.
Thanks all. Yeah.
Ready? He's on.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks
Bye,
all the
guys.
speakers.
See ya.
Bye.
Take care. Cheers, all.